On today's show, what storylines are we watching for the last section of the NBA season after the All-Star break? What's going on with Doc, Giannis, and the Bucks? Chaos again? We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On NBA. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You're Locked On to the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On NBA your first listen today, where the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day, leave a 5-star review, like the video on YouTube, and comment anything below. Let us know in the comment section what's one storyline you're looking at the rest of this season. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And joining me, as always on a Thursday, what you got for me, Pat the Designer?
Is JJ Redick okay? Has anybody checked on JJ?
He's having a
aggressive. A little aggressive. A little aggressive right now. We're here to teach. That's our job. That's our job.
He's just upset about his view count. He's posting Zion Williamson handling the ball videos and not getting enough views on it.
Did he have a meltdown over like YouTube clicks? Is that what we watch?
Listen, I'm trying to teach you something. Oh man, we'll talk about JJ Redick. I got some stuff. We'll do Count It Up, where we count all the most interesting, fun things in the NBA that happened last week. There's a bunch of stuff that we could get into, but JJ Redick had a rant that I want to discuss. Jokic recruiting Luka. How scared am I? Scale of 0 to 5. We'll talk about that and Count It Up. But let's start here. I want to talk about the storylines we're most looking at to end the season. And I mean, what storyline could we be looking at first besides the Milwaukee Bucks, where they are right now? Adrian Griffin starts the season as the coach. They do pretty well, and then they fire him. They bring in Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers has been just going off about the change and a bunch of things. He recently said, personally, to be honest, I told Bucks ownership when they called, I don't understand why you're doing this. And one of the things they said was, well, it doesn't matter. We've done it now. We want you. And that was a tough one. That's where you had the hesitation. Doc Rivers also said 3 weeks in, it's been harder than I thought. And the day before the All-Star break, he said, we have some guys here, some guys in Cabo. So the excuses are already starting to ride up here for the Bucks. And Giannis came out with a quote. This is why I'm watching this. I'm watching this right now. Giannis is getting frustrated with the situation and all the change and all this. He said this to The Athletic. It's been hard because so many changes, so many injuries, and so many things. A lot of things, up and down, changes, as I said, game plan, structure, all the BS. We can start, hold on one second. We can start from ownership, change change again. Star players change, from Chris being in and out, like so much. It's just up and down. So many things changing, man, but we got to stay together. I don't like to victimize myself. I don't like to feel bad about myself. That's not who I am. The state of the Milwaukee Bucks, why are we watching them in the last half of the season?
I think you got to watch them to see whose fault it is, right? Because here's the thing. This Milwaukee Bucks team right now does not feel like a team that can go out there and win a championship. Now, do they have the players to do it? Does it seem like, right? Remember the last time we complained about somebody being a part of a team for 10 games and just saying, it's over, it's done. Things can get better. So does this end up getting better? But where we're at right now, right? This just feels like a completely different Bucks team than even the team that was under Adrian Griffin, that didn't feel like a Bucks team that was really going to do much. And they were winning a lot more than what we've seen under Doc Rivers right now. I think what's interesting as well to really keep an eye on is, does the Milwaukee Bucks offensive game come back through the first 10 games with Doc here, right? They've been a 113 offensive rating through those 10 games, struggling to score the ball, struggling to knock down shots, a little bit of injury bug playing in there as well. But the first 46 games of the season with Adrian Griffin, 121.9 offensive rating. The one thing about this Bucks team you knew was they were going to be able to go out there and outscore anybody they went across from. The question was, are you defensively going to be able to stop anybody? Because they had a 117 defensive rating. Now that is down to a 115 defensive rating. So you feel like you're kind of moving in the right direction defensively there. But can you get that offense back on track? And can you figure out an offense in it? I guess here's my real question. Any coach, right? Like anybody who knows basketball, what is the easiest play that you should be running?
Don't bait him. Don't bait him into this.
Down the court.
I'm not trying to teach people here.
I'm trying to teach people basketball. Nick, you stay out of my way. We're teaching people. Do you want to learn? So angry, JJ.
JJ Redick's so mad.
No, but like really, like you've got Damian Lillard and Giannis on the floor. If I run pick and roll down the court, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to blitz Dame. He's going to stand back. Okay, now I get to throw it down to the greatest roller of all time who gets downhill and is able to yam the basketball over pretty much everybody's head. Or you're going to play back to stop the roll, and I've got one of the greatest three-point shooters in NBA history standing back there who can lace it up from the three-point line, attack you off of the dribble, still be able to knock down the shot because you're playing back. There's so many options off a simple pick and roll that I'm wondering, like, is this actually on the coaching staff? Not to say there haven't been mistakes from the coaching staff, but is there something with either Dame or Giannis that they don't want to be either the ball handler in that situation or the guy rolling to the bucket? Because that seems like the easiest play in basketball to me, and I'm not an NBA head coach.
It doesn't really make sense why it's not being utilized more, why it's not being played more. It does feel like there's somebody that doesn't want to run that necessarily. To me, it's like you said, this doesn't feel like a team that could win a title. I don't think changing a coach this late in the season and doing it when they did and like changing it all up like this, especially to Doc Rivers, whose playoff collapses have been categorized all over the place. Like I just don't think that there's enough time for them to figure out what they do need to figure out. You mentioned their offense. I mean, they're 21st in the NBA in offense in this stretch since Doc Rivers took over. 113.9, which used to be a good offensive rating. Now it's terrible. Like it's bottom.
Who are you guys, the Chicago Bulls? Stop giving Acme reasons to keep the team together. We're the same as the Bucks.
The Bulls rating in that time is 118.7. Five points better. The Bucks offensive, let me put it this way. The Bucks offensive rating in the Doc Rivers era so far is the same as the Blazers.
Yeah, it's not good.
That's not good. And the Pistons.
It's not good.
113. I just don't think there's enough time. Like, I think that Giannis is right. There's been all this change and all this stuff. And go back to when they switched from Coach Bud. Bud wins the title, and then all of a sudden they, are not as good. And then all of a sudden he's gone too. And so then you bring in Adrian Griffin. Like they've had these changes, and I just think that it might be too much change. Plus, you're already changing over the Damian Lillard thing.
Yeah.
I just covered a team with the Mavericks that tried to bring in Kyrie Irving late in the season after a ship was already sinking and try and figure out. Now, the Bucks aren't a sinking ship as far as record, but when they brought in Damian Lillard, but now they are when you bring in Doc Rivers. It doesn't feel like there's enough time to me. And I'm definitely watching this story because I want to see how it changes. What do they fix? What can be fixed for the end of the season?
I think that's the problem, right? A lot of this blame is going to go to Doc. Doc isn't coming in and making massive changes in, a week of basketball, right? He's not coming in. Right? Like the thing that Doc is probably doing the most is probably trying to get these guys to play more defense, which we have seen them. They've been a better defensive team for the most part under Doc than what we saw under Adrian Griffin. There seemed like a lack of want under Adrian Griffin, and it seems like that has come back a little bit. But the biggest question I have right now is, right, the players on the floor. Where's that want to that wasn't there with Adrian Griffin on both ends? Now it feels like, okay, I need you guys to lock in defensively so that you can outscore teams on the other end. Hey, that didn't mean stop shooting the basketball on the other side here, guys. That didn't mean stop. At a certain point, it just comes to, are you able to do more than the team across from you? I know that sounds like the simplest.
Can you score more points than the other team?
But legitimately, it's the simplest form of it. But when you have Dame and Giannis, you can look at things in the simplest form because you have literally two of the greatest scorers in NBA history on your team. All right, guys, let's step this up. Let's get this going. Locking in defensively shouldn't destroy you offensively.
JJ Redick, we've talked about him a couple times, already had a quote. He played for Doc Rivers before and had this quote. I've seen this trend for years. The trend is always making excuses. Doc, we get it. Taking over a team in the middle of the season is hard. It's always been an excuse. Always throwing your team under the bus. There's never accountability with that guy. Do you think that's why maybe there's not as much like fight from this team as they're already getting thrown under the bus by the new coach who just got brought in and is supposed to bring this stability to this team. They're already not feeling it. And like, it's a slippery slope when you're not feeling stability already. Giannis has already voiced that. You bring in a new coach, and then the new coach is like, hey, this is not on me. I just got here. And you're like, they're looking for leadership in some way, and they're just not finding it yet.
I mean, is he wrong, though? Is this season on Doc?
Is JJ or is Doc?
No, is Doc wrong in this situation? I think Doc is just somebody who overtells, right? He talks too much sometimes, right? You know what I mean? Like, guess what? He's going to sit here and tell you exactly what's on his mind. Is Doc wrong that at this point in the season, yes, there are things that he needs to fix. There are things he needs to adjust. They brought him in to make the team better defensively and try to get things back on track. The problem with the track was it was already off track when Doc Rivers showed up. That's why you fired a first-year head coach 46 games into the season with a winning record. If anybody has an issue with what Doc's saying here, I think the problem is, hey, yes, the other times do I think Doc is throwing guys under the bus and not taking accountability? For sure. But this time right now, the problem is the accountability needed to be taken in the first 46 games, and the accountability was thrown on Adrian Griffin to get him out. Now, I'm not saying he was a good coach. Y'all know I didn't like him. I didn't even like to hire him. I was like, oh, you gonna fire a coach to go get someone worse? Like, that makes no sense. But I just feel like this entire Bucks situation has been, okay, when this does go bad, who do we blame? And it hasn't been, how do we fix the problem?
That's why we're watching this story. We're watching the Bucks throughout the rest of this season. Coming up, what other storylines are we watching? Could be Dallas Mavericks related. Could be Los Angeles related. We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs will help you find the qualified candidates you need to find. If you are a small business manager or you are going to hire at some point for anything, go to linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. Even if you're not, just go to linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. It really helps us out if you just go to that URL. Just linkedin.com/LockedOn. Just go to the URL right now. When you're there, you'll notice that hiring is easy when you have this many qualified candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. It doesn't take that long for you to get somebody that's actually qualified. It's like one of the dating apps for jobs. You can check it out like that. It's not just another job board. It's a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. Again, linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA, being an everyday or listening every day. We have a daily show that covers your team. Check the link in the description to find a show that covers your team every day. We've got it. Also, check out the Locked On Sports Today live stream. It's on Amazon Fire TV as well as YouTube. Locked On Sports Today, 24/7. This show is probably on it if you're watching us. Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Follow us on YouTube, podcasts, Spotify, all that kind of stuff, Apple. All right, Pat, let's talk about some more stories we're watching to end the season. We talked about the Bucks. You went in on the Bucks. My turn. I'm watching the Dallas Mavericks.
Oh, boy.
It's the team that I cover, so obviously I'm watching it.
You sure?
But I'm watching this team because Kyrie's missed 22 games to start the season, missed almost half the season. Luka's been having an MVP-type season. They're 32-23. They're 7th in the West right now. They made the trades to go get Daniel Gafford, to go get PJ Washington, to shore up their depth, to add some size. Derek Lively's missed some games too. He's back. You know, with the nose injury, he's got the face shield. He's got all that going. This team seems to be finding out who they are and what they are at this point in the season. And I think they're ready for a big jump forward, or at least a jump forward. And I think they're going to surprise some people to end the season because they're getting everybody back. They've got these trades. It feels like there's momentum behind the Mavericks right now. And I'm excited to see what they can do. And so I'm watching them, and I'm watching Luka's MVP candidacy.
Luka's MVP candidacy is I mean, definitely, this is the year where I would say if he's got his best chance to win it right now. 34.2 points a game, 8.8
lead the league without Embiid,
and 9.5 assists per game. Like, he's literally leading in every stat. And what I do like about it with Luka is, right, remember when James Harden kind of had these similar stat lines like this, and it was just like, okay, yeah, but he's being cheesy. How he's getting it is kind of like he's getting to the free throw line a lot. Yes, he's putting up the numbers. You love that, but it just feels – it felt wrong. This feels like he's doing it in a way that is literally proving that nobody on the other side of the basketball can stop me now. He is getting a little bit over this stretch of games, right? There's been a lot of Atlanta Hawks style defense played against them. I watch a lot of Dallas as well.
Okay.
I watch a lot of Dallas as well. Yeah, I mean, I like the Mavs. I mean, there's been a lot of Hawks style defense over the stretch, but he's still, it doesn't take away from what he is. It doesn't take away from what he's done. You can't punish the player for how other teams play him. And I mean, listen, when they say Luka Magic, I mean, I don't know if people think the Magic means Magic Johnson or magical, but either way, when I watch him pass the basketball, it feels like we haven't seen this level of elite precision passing in a long time. Like maybe
in the bombastic way that he does it, it's insane.
It's insane. It's just like he threw it behind his back, one leg up, and he's going left. The ball went right. What the heck was that? And why? Why did he didn't need to. There was no reason for it. Nobody was stopping him.
Were you going to ask if I believe in actual magic? Is that what you're going to ask earlier?
No, I'm just saying.
I don't know if you believe in actual magic.
No. The definition of what the magic means. Is it magical or is it Magic Johnson? One way or the other. What he's doing right now, I'm all in on a Luka Doncic possible MVP candidacy, but I do think it has to be tied to the Mavs getting a little bit more success here in the second half of this season.
I agree. That's exactly what I just said on Locked On Mavs. I just made Luka's whole case for MVP, and I ended with the team's got to be a little bit better. They've got to just step up a little bit and catch the Bucks and the Nuggets, and like they've got to just bridge that gap just a little bit to get Luka to spot. But Jokic is second MVP, same winning percentage the Mavericks have right now.
Yeah,
Westbrook, when he won with the Thunder, worse winning percentage than what the Mavericks have right now. So there is precedent for a team with the team success that the Mavericks have had. Luka's doing the hardest thing. You mentioned earlier the like ethical scoring when you talk about Harden's seasons versus Luka's. Do you take out free throws made? Even include Embiid in this. Luka's leading the league in points.
Yeah. No,
26, 100%. Almost 27 points per game if you take out free throws made. He's absolutely dominating, and they're 15-5 when he plays in clutch games. The Mavericks are 17-6 in clutch games overall. Best winning percentage in the clutch in the NBA this season, and that's already up until now. This is before, add now the new trades and Kyrie getting back and all that kind of stuff, and I think the Mavericks are poised to take a step forward. So that's a storyline I'm watching. What's another storyline that you're watching?
I want to know if the Clippers are for real. I've talked about the Clippers a couple of times out here, and I like what I'm seeing. I like how they're moving right now, but the teams that they're going to have to face up, I think this is the toughest year we've seen from the West in a while. I'm not gonna lie. When you look at these Western Conference teams, like we were just talking about with Luka, right? Like you almost have to take standings out of MVP voting because they're 7th in the West right now, and they're 9 games above 500. You know what I mean? Like you almost have to take standings out of it. That's how good the West is.
The Mavs would be 6th in the East right now.
Can this Clippers team go out there and compete with these younger teams that are coming up? Yes, they're still elite players. Yes, Kawhi Leonard's still a monster. Paul George, we already know what he's able to bring. But now you've got the young guys in the West starting to catch up. The two teams ahead of you, especially the Thunder and the Timberwolves. And here's the thing. I'm not talking about can you go out there and make a Western Conference Finals. I'm not talking about can you go out there and compete in the playoffs. I'm talking about can you finally get a championship? Are these the same old Clippers? Oh, yeah, they'll be competitive in the playoffs. You know what kind of team they have. Yes, James Harden adds to that. But the stigma of Rivers is the same stigma of Harden over his career time. Can he finally break that stigma and get to the NBA championship? That's my biggest question with the Clippers right now.
I know he's not even the best player on the team like he has been in the past.
Yeah.
Kawhi and Paul George have been great this season. I just can't, in my mind, get a team with James Harden like at the helm to a title. I just can't get there. We've just seen it too many times. Like it's one of those, like, I've been hurt before, with James Harden. Is it bad that I just can't get myself to a point where I say, all right, I could see the Clippers winning the title. I can envision it because I just think that something weird will happen with the Clippers curse and with James Harden. Like they've got two ethereal basketball god things working against them.
Well, I think the only difference here is that this is the first time where Harden hasn't been the main focal point of everything being successful, right? If James Harden were to go out, because usually, right, there's some kind of injury that happens or something that happens toward the end of the season with the Clippers and with Harden, right? With both here, right? But like at least as of late, so you kind of look at it and go, okay, so say James Harden has the fall off. You still got Russ coming off of the bench, giving you really good minutes off of the bench. He's somebody that can come out there and facilitate the ball just as well. If you need him to be a scorer, he can. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, we know what they bring from both sides of the court aspect. I would say the Clippers right now in the West, when you look at them, are the team that maybe should be able to stop teams the best if you got two players that really lock in defensively. But there is that part where you're just kind of like, okay, my biggest question, I'm not gonna lie, these guys are all older. Like, it's not like their careers are over, but like when I got to do a 7-game series versus a bunch of, like, if they at some point have to play OKC's really good defensively, they're really good offensively, and nobody on the team that you need is over 30 yet.
Kawhi's 32, Paul George 32 with bad knees. Paul George is 33, James Harden 34, Norman Powell even 30. Russell Westbrook is 35. Start going down the line, but it feels like this Clippers team, though, the most answers that they've ever had as a team, right? We've got the most, and you finally got the point guards that you've wanted to try and run the offense in Harden and Westbrook. They've got enough. They feel like they've got enough answers to get there and win the title. But I'm definitely watching that storyline the rest of this season. Coming up, count it up. We count all the most interesting, fun things in the NBA, including JJ Redick goes on a rant about the NBA and Jokic recruiting Luka. We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel Sportsbook has all kinds of props and odds to get you covered through the NBA season. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Go check out FanDuel right now. They have the MVP award. MVP, Jokic, -120, SGA, +210, then Luka, +700. If you still think Luka can win MVP, if you're buying what I'm putting down, what I said earlier about Luka and the Mavs going on a run to the season and Luka having that momentum, He's got some really good games coming up. Some national TV games against the Nuggets, the Thunder, the Celtics. A lot of national TV games where Luka can make up some of this. Maybe put some money down on that +700 for Luka.
Little scratch.
Put some on there. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. Go check it out on FanDuel. They got quick bets, same game parlays, all kinds of stuff like that. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA. Being it every day or listening to the show every day. Appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out with us. I host Locked On Mavericks. Pat hosts Locked On Bulls. We've got a show like that covers your team every day. But for right now, it's time to get counting.
Big chicken, baby. Zion Williamson and porn star.
Take that for that.
Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up. Count it up.
Count it up, where we count out the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. Let's start here. JJ Redick making a bunch of news this week, going on rant after rant. My favorite one, though, was not about Doc Rivers, was not about educating fans versus entertainment in sports media. It was this. Can we please just start things on time in the NBA? It's out of control. It's absolutely out of control. JJ Redick going on a rant about how the All-Star game or the All-Star Saturday night is supposed to start at like 8 o'clock and it ends up starting at 8:42. Yep. My question is, on a scale of 0 to 5, how much is this a problem for the NBA?
Count it up.
9. 9. 9. Like, legitimately, I'm not going to lie to you. It is the most annoying thing in the world. It feels like, right, like it feels like the NBA is playing into the black people times stigma right now. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like, listen, you know what I mean? Like,
did I laugh too hard at that?
Maybe a little bit too hard. Calm down there.
Should we edit that?
Relax there, Whitey. But no, bro, I'm not going to lie. Right? You get back here. Get back here. Put your glasses on. No, but I'm not gonna lie, because right, like, when I go to a baseball game and when I tell you 7:10 pitch, he has glasses. I was not expecting you to have glasses ready. 7:10 pitch. When I tell you the ball is like leaving the pitcher's hand at 7:09:59, boom, in the glove by 7:10. NFL, for the most part, right, 12 o'clock kick means 12 o'clock kick. Now, you get certain games where it's special, right? And it says game starts at 12. Maybe you do a 12.
They got to wait for the military to fly over.
Right, yeah. Just shout out to the troops, all of that, right? The NBA's not doing nothing. There's just a pregame show, 7 o'clock tip, a 15-minute pregame show, and then like an 8-minute shoot around, and then we get to the game. Bro, when I used to live call Bulls games, it used to irk my soul, because then, like, at first, right, when I first did the national ones, you're like, okay, normally it starts at like 7:10, so I do my 10 minutes of like,
and you're like,
we're good.
Extra pregame.
Fam, 7:26. Not even like an even time. Not even like a 25, 20, 30, 26. Why is that tip off? We're just winging it out here. Sorry, I ranted.
No, hey, it's a problem. I said 0 to 5 and you went with 9, which I thought
9. Oh no, I knew what you said. It's such a problem. I had to add 4 more numbers.
It's ridiculous. Like the All-Star stuff was ridiculous. Now, I plan my life around the NBA. It doesn't matter to me when it starts, but
right.
And so, like, to me, it doesn't matter as much. I'm going to watch it, and I'm going to sit there and wait through your commercials and everything. But it is a big problem when something is starting 40 minutes after the time when you said that it's supposed to start.
Yeah.
At the All-Star game, DNVR had an interview with Jokic and asked him a question, and Jokic was asked about Luka Doncic. I saw it firsthand. I was there at All-Star. I saw Luka and Jokic have some buddy friend stuff. Go check out Locked On Mavs on YouTube. I posted some shorts with them, having some fun together. But Jokic says about Luka and ever teaming up with him in the future. I don't want to leave Denver. If Luka gets pissed off in Dallas, he can come to Denver. Talking about that. On a scale of 0 to 5.
Count it up.
How scared am I about this?
5.
I'm gonna answer this.
You're a 5. You're a 5.
No, I'm a 2. I'm a 1. I'm not scared about I'm not scared about this at all. To come to Denver, the machinations that would have to go into effect for Luka to be able to maneuver that and make that happen, like it's not like the Miami Heat, like the Heatles is not going to happen again. So I don't think going to Denver is going to be a problem. Am I worried about Luka leaving at all? Yeah, sure. But I'm not worried about him going to Denver necessarily. And I think that these guys are like, you ever have that friend that you're like, oh, we're best friends we're best friends out of the classroom or whatever. And then you have a group project and you're like, oh, I ain't working with them. You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. Like I think you should be at a little bit higher. I think you should be at a 5 on this one because we're gonna act like all of a sudden the NBA can't move people around. Kevin Durant plays for Phoenix after whining about wanting to go to Phoenix. The Brooklyn Nets literally going, "You're not going to Phoenix." All right, you can go to Phoenix. Like literally, like I don't know if you should not be worried about that. And the thought of Luka being able to just go, wait, I don't have to pass it. I can just shoot this thing.
Someone will pass to me
wide open. This is amazing. Yeah, I would be a little worried that this might end up happening. And the fact that at the end of the day, Mark Cuban owns the team.
Now, somebody's going to get pissed 27%.
So somebody's going to get pissed off.
He isn't even the majority owner anymore. But
he's still in there, right?
The Brunson story is making its rounds again. I understand how a situation can go south very quickly, and it can be very bad for you because the Steve Nash thing was almost the same thing. So I'm not that worried about it, but it was funny that Jokic said that about that. Last story here. I have to get to this one. I rushed the last one so we can get to this one.
Right.
From Angstadt, Marcus Spears wrote a story about George Hill. George Hill has a ranch that's almost 2.5 times the size of downtown Indianapolis, 900 acres. Where during All-Star Weekend, so he's there on All-Star Weekend, on the property, he has more than 1,000 different animals: impalas, zebras, elk, stag, antelope, stables, deer, kangaroo, oryx, ostriches, horses, all kinds of stuff. My question is,
Count it up.
How many is too many different kinds of animals? He's got 1,000.
None, if that's your passion. As long as you can take care of them and you could fund it. I'm fine with it, right? Like now, where's he at? He's in Indiana with this?
In Indiana, yeah, in Indiana. 900-acre ranch.
All right, my biggest question would be, okay, is everybody in an environment where their species is allowed to thrive the way that they are, right? Like it gets cold in Indiana. I don't want zebra out here in the winter struggling out here, right? You got a heated room for them. I don't know all the animals that are out there, but like, nah, if you have a passion for taking care of animals and you're acquiring them the right way, right? Like I'm assuming he's not like calling poachers up on a weekend.
This was my biggest question. By the way, it's Mark J. Spears. Sorry, not Marcus Spears.
That's why when you said Marcus Spears was writing, I was like, what's he doing?
I added us to it. It's just Mark Spears. There's no Mark us. It's just Mark. I was wondering about how he got those animals too, because he talks about how many animals he has. And then there's a quote in there that says, he says, Hill has hunted in Africa, Mexico, and all over Texas. The heads of hippopotamus, giraffe, bear, and several other prized game Hill has hunted are now hanging in his garage of his home on the ranch. So he's got all these animals. Like, I don't know what the purpose of all the animals is. I don't think that ever got really revealed in the story. Is he hunting the animals on his own property?
Releasing them onto the property.
You know that those things where like the rich people would like you release a fox and they go try to wasn't it in Mary Poppins where they released the fox
for the hunt.
They released the fox on the property and then they have to go hunt it. By the way, a hippopotamus head on the wall, that'd be wild. Imagine you like go to somebody's house and there's a hippopotamus head on the wall.
This is my question, right? Are you doing like the safari thing? I don't like the all right, you're killing animals that what are you doing, right? Now I'm questioning a little bit more. You're killing animals that
which animals have rights, Pat?
No, I'm not going that far. I'm not going that far. All I want is even ground, right? I'm fine with every human hunting whatever they want. But you can't go up to a bear with a double barrel shotgun with like unlimited clip here and you're just lighting up the bear. Let's make it even. You get the bow and arrow, the bear's a bear. Right? Like, let's say hippo. Hippo a little tougher, right? You might need the double barrel shotgun. Maybe that's even ground. But you get the double barrel shotgun, you get 2 shots and a knife. Hippo's a hippo. You figure that out.
So it's a two-way hunt.
Yeah, I want survival.
You hunt
of the
the
fittest,
animals,
baby.
and the animals hunt you too.
Yeah, I want survival of the fittest. If we're hunting animals, let's make sure it's survival of the fittest, man.
Shout out to George Hill and all his animals on his 900-acre ranch that he has there.
I hope he's not just like releasing them. Just release the Kraken. He's just chasing them around.
1,000 different types of animals. He may have a Kraken at his place.
Oh, you guys don't have a Kraken? Hold on. Here's my question. Here's my question. I know, right, property number. I know the property, how much it costs and stuff in Indiana. How much money did George Hill make in his career? Like the animals alone are the more expensive. But like all the animals definitely cost more than the property.
You want to play career salary for George Hill?
Yeah, let's play career salary real quick.
All right. All right. I got the number. I'll give you higher or lower.
All right. I'm trying to think all the spots he played. He's got some time.
Remember he started in San Antonio,
Yes.
then to the Pacers, and then he played a bunch of different places. Jazz, Cavs, Bucks for a couple years, Sixers, Bucks again, Sixers again, and then went back to the Pacers. The highest in 1 year he made was 20 million for the Cavs.
I was gonna say that. So 60 mil?
Higher.
I'm also thinking about the era he was in. Good Lord. 80 mil?
Higher.
He's 100 mil worth?
Higher.
No, who overpaid him?
The Cavs paid him 20 million. The Bucks paid him 19. The Bucks paid him 10, and then
150.
$113 million career salary for George Hill.
Shout out George Hill. Congratulations.
That's how you can have a 900-acre farm with 1,000 different types of animals and hippopotamus heads.
He's
on your
invested in something that hit. Like somebody came up to him and was like, "Yo, I've got
100 million. You could do that ranch.
Yeah,
in
but
Indiana
he's also living off of it. He doesn't just have 100 million in his back
because
pocket.
he's eating all the animals that are there. He's hunting them.
Somebody came up to George Hill and was like, "So I've got this idea about strangers picking you up at your house. You get in their car and you take them around. We're going to call it Uber." He was like, "Great idea." Also,
Safari
take me to Africa.
Safari buffet. Go check out all the shows that cover your team every day. Check the link in the description. Guys, thanks for listening to Locked On NBA.
Bang, bang. Oh, George Hill.
Oh, George Hill's animals. They're down. They're down.